I'm Will.
And I'm Steven.
And this is the Post P Chronicles.
So, Will, what are we looking at today?
Man, I know I say this a lot, right? I say this all the time. We have an exciting guest for you.
Every week.
Every week. And every week there is an exciting guest. But today, very personal to me, this is an exciting guest, something that I didn't think would be possible, at least not this soon, right? So, without any further ado, I want to introduce an old friend, a good friend, Rico Flowers. Rico Flowers, welcome to Post P, man.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. You know what I mean? It's been a long time in the wait. I've been hearing about this podcast, man, for a while now. You know what I mean? I'm very excited to finally get to tell, my story on you guys' podcast. That's dope, man. I'm proud of you.
Man, thank you, bro. So, without any further ado, I just want to give a little background. So this, I knew Rico when we was 17 years old. Well, I was 17, he was 15. We got the same birthday. Really? August 8th. Yes, August 8th. We have the same birthday. We grew up in the same neighborhood, same, all that good stuff. Yeah. But I'm going to allow Rico to tell a story. But the way that starts is, where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
Well, I grew up everywhere over Southeast, really, honestly. Like, shit, I think the earliest memory is probably Bolenbacher. You know what I mean? Bolenbacher. Like, it's in Emerald Hills. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I probably moved to the hood. And then from there, I moved to, that's referring to Market Street area. And then from there, I moved to 32nd, 33rd and Gregory. From there, I moved to Crestwood.
Coast, South.
And then from there, I moved to the Dip. I lived right next door
Lincoln.
to IGA. And then from there, I moved to Peter Pan. You know what I mean?
It's East.
I lived everywhere. I went to 16 different elementary schools.
Jeez.
6 different middle schools. You know what I mean? Just one high school, Morris. That was it,
Man. So how did that feel growing up, just going to new, different, like no stability from what I'm hearing? Like there was really no stability.
Maybe what was the reason for that?
Well, a lot of everything. I think probably my mom did drugs, you know what I mean? And then it's like, I didn't really see it, so I can't sit here and say, I seen my mom smoke crack and do I never seen it, you know what I mean? Because like I was younger, you know what I mean? But at the same time, like when I got older, I realized that what was going on, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like I think that just growing up, how you grew up, like we were black, so I probably stayed with every one of my relatives, you know what I mean? Or once upon a time, they lived with us, you know what I mean? Back and forth trading. I've been homeless before. I've been through a lot of things. So it's like I think growing up, you really don't try to, at that time in your life, you really don't know your journey. So those type of things are just, you go with it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like when you got to walk to the store. Like, you know what I mean? You don't ask no questions. You just go to the store,
Just go with the flow.
Right, just go with the flow.
That's your normal, right?
Right. But I didn't realize the effect it had on me till I got older and I started realizing that most of the people that I supposedly don't like or have issues with or whatever, shit, I grew up with them. I know them on a first name basis. I can tell you about their dad's cars, their bedrooms, and all type of things, you know what I mean? And that's just how, like, it became. I think that being from San Diego, it's not as big as we think when you only live in the Southeast or East San Diego, and you realize that, shit, each part of the section is only 10 minutes away from everybody, you know what I mean?
True.
So
that was your childhood.
Yeah.
Up until the point of, when was there ever any real stability?
Yes. Everybody got grandma. You know what I mean? I think that my grandma,
the rock of the
family.
You
know what I'm saying? Like my grandma has always been the person who installed the church, who's always installed, like, you know what I mean, the love and everything into me, because her home has always been in one place. You know what I mean? So it's like that always was my stability. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you have to realize that grandma is quick to remind your mom or your father that you're not her kid. You're, you know what I'm saying? You're her grandchild. You know what I mean?
Right.
She will never deny you, but y'all need to come get picked the F up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you know
I'm
what I'm
done
saying?
having kids.
Right. You know what I mean? So, but like I say, she always was there for stability and for Christmas and holidays and food and cooking and love and joy, you know what I'm saying, and religion and everything that you needed, you know what I mean, as a child that I didn't have from my mom, because I never really had any structure from my mom. Like, as far as I can remember, I could stay outside as long as I wanted to. I can hang out, spend night wherever I wanted to. I was never questioned. And I think that looking back on my childhood, that probably was the biggest challenge for me becoming an adult, realizing that I was never questioned. So my behavior was never checked. You know what I mean?
You were never disciplined.
Right. No, I was disciplined. but I was never questioned. You know what I mean?
Right.
I got my ass whooped, you know what I'm saying, for a lot of things. But it was more out of anger and in the moment than the actual, hey son, this is what you did wrong. Like, it wasn't no explanation. I just know what I did wrong, being that I've done an action that caused a reaction. You know what I mean? But it was never a sit down and explain to your child and tell your child about this or that. You know, my mom was a realist, I say, because she'll tell you like shit, like you keep doing what you're gonna do, you're gonna put yourself in a predicament where I can't come save you from. I can only come down to the school, I can only come down to certain places, but when you start doing other certain things, I can't save you from those things. You know what I mean? Like, she let me know where my life was headed, but at the same time, she's like God. It's like God. It's like God loves you unconditionally. You know what I mean? If you're a religious person. But at the same time, you have a choice.
He gives you that free will.
Right. So that's how type my mom was. She's the type of parent that she gave me the free will. You know what I mean? And it's like, I had the free will to either go this way or go that way, because I had good people in my life, you know what I mean? Aunties, uncles, cousins, you know what I mean? I had good individuals in my life, but when you're growing up with no stability and everyone else becomes your family and your friends, you have no direction, you know what I mean? And you don't realize that direction is important, even as a child. Definitely. You know what I mean? Because it's not even a race thing, it's a life thing. Like, certain people teach their kid college early, teach their kid, okay, what do you want to do now? So we can start doing the things that we have to do today for you to achieve
grow
these
up
goals.
With expectations.
So right. I didn't have no expectations. I mean, shit, my mom was so dope, smoked it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, shit, I mean, if someone came through with something or whatever, or I met somebody or whatever, and they wanted to rob somebody or do something, that was an expectation for me to look forward to. You know what I mean? And it's sad, but it's the reality of the situation. Like I said, you know what I mean? But it's just like when you growing up so fast and you're a child and you think that you're an adult, you never realize the consequences, you know what I mean, until sometimes it's too late. And that brings me to the point where what happened with me, with myself. Like, I ended up catching a murder at 15. Like, you know what I mean? I was going into some apartments to see somebody else. Like, contrary to the story, nobody never took me anywhere or told me to do anything or any of those type of things. Like, I was actually coming back from TJ and going to see someone that lived somewhere. And I ended up seeing someone like that I was having problems with as a child. And I'm like, well, shit, if they see me first, I got to shoot first. You know what I mean? So I started shooting first, which resulted in the death. You know what I mean? So it's like that shit changed my life, because it ended up costing me 17 years in prison. You know what I mean? So it's like, when I was in prison, you know, I was in prison with Mr. Will here at the podcast. You know, like, he'll tell you, you know what I'm saying? I didn't.
They didn't know that.
Man, I didn't change in prison. Like, I didn't. Like Will tell you, I was the same individual all the way until they let me out.
I wouldn't even say that, right? I would not say that, right? Because I'm gonna say specifically, there was a moment, and you know, we had cell phones in there. Yeah, don't get us, but we had cell phones in there, and you was in Lancaster, and I was in Ironwood, and I was about to get kicked out of Ironwood, and you was like, bro, come to Lancaster. Yeah, and I was like, no, like I didn't want to go, because I knew Rico when we were younger, and I'm like, man, and I know how he was in prison. Like, he was always tripping. I'm like, bro, if I go over here, he gonna get me some stuff, and I'm gonna do it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna go do. I got his back. You feel me?
So let's back up real quick before we get to prison. 15, you catch a murder charge. So what age are you gangbanging at? You obviously have no structure.
Man, I mean, I think I started. No direction. Well, I think the person that started me gangbanging, I think, was my cousin Stanley. Like, you know what I mean? Like, my cousin, I used to come to Stanley's house all the time, and he used to be like, oh, sorry. He used to be like, oh yeah, I'm beating on the table and shit. But he was like, man, where you from? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, man, I don't know, man. You know, like, I'm not, this is like 99, like 98, like going into 2000, like type shit. And he was like,
a kid, like, 99, like,
I was
like
kid,
10?
But I come to his house, but they're already Skyline gang members. Like, they're already.
Of course, I know
like,
Stanley, yeah.
Like they're already from Skyline, you know what I mean? He was like, well, shit, you coming over here? Like, you got to beef him over here, and you got to beef my little homie. And I'm like, well, shit, man, you know, it's cool over here. I throw a lot of parties. You know what I'm saying? It's like, the Boys and Girls Club is fun. You know
it was popping, the Boys
So I'm like, shit, you know what I mean? And then I had a lot of friends already. Like, you know what I mean? I had like a lot of family that was Crips. So I'm thinking like, damn, like maybe it's a Crips or maybe it's Skyline. Like, you know what I mean? But it's like, I never gang banged Crip, or I never felt a connection with Crips. I always got my love and my respect from Skyline. Like, you know what I mean? So that's what I chose. Like, that's what I was embraced by. But yeah, it came at a young age. Like, I remember, like, I think when I really, really, really like fell in love, I remember like realizing that I was cool with the older homie named T Banks, right? And he used to be honest about going to school and not doing this and not doing that, and like, you know, having money and just like simple things, you know what I mean, that I didn't get, like the big brother that I never had, like the person that I never, like, you know what I mean? Like, he used to really be honest and he used to remember us, and I felt like, damn, like, they really care about me over here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't hang out in front of this liquor store at school time if he pull up, you know what I mean? And then he had died, and that shit had changed me. And I think I felt an anger towards individuals, you know what I mean, for his death. Like, you know what I'm saying? I felt like I took that like damn, like, man, like, personally, like, you guys killed the homie, like, so it's like, forget you guys, like, you know what I mean? And I think that's when, like, the fire in my heart kind of like started, you know what I mean? For the love for Skyline, you know?
And it was a cold fire.
Man, you know what I'm saying?
It was definitely a cold fire, just being that young.
Yeah.
And growing up at the same time. So I remember,
Yeah.
you know, how you were at that age. And it was 13 years old. He got people scared.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? 13 years old. He got
a name for
people
himself.
scared. 15, 16, 17. They were scared. Rico's coming. He's tripping.
But
you know what I mean? That's just how it was at that age.
But it's crazy because, like, looking back, like, you know, like, I used to hang out with Will a lot. We never tried, and when we hung out, he'll tell you, like, we just looking for parties. Like, we wasn't trying to glorify what we were. It's just what we was. You know what I mean? And that's the difference. Like, that's the difference. It's like, we never tried to glorify, like, oh, like, I'm this, I'm that, blah, blah, blah. It just was, we just knew what was expected of us, and we just did what was needed. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, we never had to be told. No one never coached us. It, like, it was in you or it wasn't. You know what I mean? And I felt like it was in me at that time. Like, that was my mind frame. And it's like when you do something, it's like when you're an athlete, or when you have a goal in mind, or you're determined to do something. I felt like that's what I was determined. I didn't know any different. Like, that was my religion. That was my life. And at that young, that was my mind frame. Yeah, like, it was my identity. But it's crazy because I had this conversation with Will. It's like, I didn't know how backwards thinking it was, because it was individuals that was freaking 26, 25 having sexual relations with girls that went to middle school and in high school that we were hanging out with. And we looked up to these type of guys, you know what I mean? These type of guys that we would end up looking up to. And we didn't sit back to think, like, damn, like, these aren't grown men. Like, you know what I mean? These are rejects of society, because they can't even go and get a grown woman their age, or they can't even go and obtain a job, or, you know what I mean? They can't even, but these were our role models. You know what I mean? These individuals that we took as our role models, like, you know, getting out of jail, getting out of YA, getting out of certain places, like, we started to believe that, you know what I mean? That shit was cool. You know what I mean? Like, we thought that was like something shit to do. Or, I mean, I can't wait till I go to YA, or I can't wait till I go to prison. Like, backwards thinking fast. You know what I mean? But it's like when you don't know any different, it's so easy to get consumed by negativity. You know what I mean? And it's like the negativity, it sits in your heart, and it sits in your soul, and it eats you up. And it's like that saying, like the Indians have, like, you know what I mean? It's two wolves inside of you. You have a good wolf and you have a bad wolf. You know what I'm saying? But the wolf that you feed the most is the wolf that you will always become. You feel me? And we continue to feed the bad wolf in every situation. You feel me? And then, like, what changed for all of us, I think, well, not all of us, because everybody's not, don't commit crimes, but what changed for me is guns. I think once you felt the power of having a gun, like just like having people scared of you, having the joke of, even when you don't have it, they think you have it. Like, you know what I mean? And just the things we can't talk about on this podcast. But you know what I'm saying? It's like just the activities that come with the guns. It's like not realizing the consequences behind it. Because to go back to my case, it's like I never realized the impact of my crime. Like, you feel me? Like, I was in prison for killing a 17-year-old woman who was inside of a car that I had shot at. I never realized the impact that would have on my community, on her family, on anything in life at that time, because my mind wasn't even able to even register and take everything on. I was still a child. Like, you know what I mean?
You're 15, right?
Right. I'm still worried about myself. Like, I'm sitting in court ignorant. Like, well, shit, they about to do this to me. Like, this not about to bring her back. You know what I mean? But in my mind, I'm sitting here with just ignorance. Like, not realizing that it's someone on the other side of this courtroom that's mourning someone, that's missing someone, that's angered at their child never coming back. That's angered at me, you know what I mean, and my actions. But me just thinking of myself and just thinking of a gang, just thinking of certain situations and circumstances, was like all that I could factor in as a 15-year-old boy. Like, you know what I mean? I'm still thinking I'm about to beat this and go right back to doing the same shit. Like, that was really in my mind. Like, man, I'm about to beat this, man. Like, this little snitch they got and this person that they got, like, that's not going to hold me. You know what I mean? But not realizing, like, well, shit, I'm in the courtroom. I'm in the system now. This system is not for a black person. This system is not for a young 15-year-old guy with no alibi or no lawyer or no type of real representation, but a public pretender. You know what I mean? It's like, I didn't realize that I had put myself in that place that my mom always told me where I was headed. You know what I mean? Somewhere where she could not come back and get me from. You feel me? And I think that was probably like the biggest realization that I had realized years down the line, because in prison I never changed. Like, because in prison it's like you gangbang every day. You're identified as where you're from and your gang and your city. Like, you know what I mean? That's all that matters. Wherever I go, anybody asking me my identity, asking me who I am, whatever race they are, it's always, oh, he's a blood from San Diego, or he's blah 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 from Skyline. You know what I mean? Even within the corridor, he's from Skyline Paru in San Diego. So it's like, you can't. I mean, I didn't really seek the self-help at that time in my life in prison because I never felt that I was going to get out. Like, I never felt that I was going to come home as soon as I came home. So the realization of that preparation didn't really start until I got free. Like, and I was free, and I sat, and it's crazy because I don't think I never told nobody this. I went to I think because I got released from High Desert State Prison, like level 4 or whatever, and I went to a store, and I'm in the store, and I'm buying some gummy worms or, like, you know what I mean? Like, they give you like a $200 little bullshit card or whatever, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, damn, like what should I get? I haven't been able to buy something for myself in 17 years, like, you know what I'm saying? But I'm in the store, I'm like, damn, I'm here. I'm looking around like somebody about to come and snatch me back up and take me back to jail, but it never happened, you know what I mean? And I'm saying, like, damn, is this lady buying? She's trying to talk to me, she's asking me all type of questions, and it's just like everything's going over my head because the realization is that I'm free. Like, it haven't really hit me yet, but I'm free, you know what I mean? And it's like I'm trying to take the money off the ATM, card that they gave me so I can buy these items and do this or do whatever. And it finally registers and hits me like, damn, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're about to go back to San Diego. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You know what I mean? And the first thing that I can think of was like, shit, not go back to the set, like, not go back to Skyline. Like, you know what I mean? Like, right. Shit, go north to wherever that place is at. You know what I mean? But it's crazy because at the end of the day, I never blamed Skyline. Like I never blamed Skyline because Skyline never got me into any trouble. I got myself into trouble. If the realization of, and like Will tell you, I was from 6'9", like, you know what I'm saying? I'm always gonna be from 6'9", but I'm from 6'9", I should say. And then it's like, in 6'9", nothing happened. Like, you know what I mean? We were at a park all day hanging out next to a freaking Boys and Girls Club. You feel what I'm saying? It's like, nobody did anything until I left, until I went, you know what I'm saying? Maybe generations before us, you know what I mean? But in my generation, I was the only one leaving and going and coming and leaving. Like, these people sat at this park all day, every day, and drunk. Chuck, that's it. Lonnie. Yeah, Greg. Drunk. You know what I mean? Like, they just consumed alcohol all day and waited for the weekend to go to a party. Man. Like that was their life. You know what I mean? So I can't blame Skyline for getting me in trouble. I can blame myself for getting me into trouble. You know what I mean?
All right. So you said you never changed in prison, and I was telling you, like, at that one point, I didn't want to go there, but we did run into each other.
Right, Centinela.
You know, in Centinela.
Right.
And the person that I thought I was going to meet was so different from the person I did meet.
That you heard about,
not even just that I heard about, the person I knew. You know what I'm saying? Remember, we was in juvenile hall together, on the streets.
Yeah. No, but
then all of that, and then I'm like, bro, like, you are grown.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're grown. And we talked about this before we came on, that, you know, people have talked to me like, oh, be careful, Rico, be careful, because he's crazy, because they thinking about this 15-year-old kid. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's so many people thinking about a 15-year-old kid. That's 18 years ago. 18 years ago, this old reputation, and it's hard for them to see this new version of you. And when I tell them, like, he's different, because we talked since I've been home. Right. We've been talking right up until the point that you came home.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you've had a plan, and you've been changing. So even though you say you haven't changed, and you only know your journey, I can say from the person that I knew to the person I met to the day that you came home, you have grown.
Right.
So you may not think you're different, but what was a turning point maybe that forced you to kind of grow up?
I think,
or self-realization where you're like, okay.
well, I think it's insanity, right? To think that you can do the same thing and expect different results. I think that as a man, like as a 33-year-old man, like I realized that things are different. It's a whole different world. Like you got to imagine, like it was no kid phones when I went to jail. Like, you know what I mean? Like the best game on the phone was a snake game. You know what I mean? Like now you got Candy Crush and you can play freaking Call of Duty and everything. Like it's the world is different, right? But I say all that to say this. It's like it's insanity to think that I'm gonna like people don't understand. I went to jail as a child doing childish things. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, I can't even go to a park and hang out all day and just like, you know what I mean, spend a night in the park and all. Like, that's a bum. Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like people are going to be like, what the hell is wrong with that guy? Like, you know what I mean? Like, be out here every day with all red on, like standing out. Like, you know what I mean? A 33-year-old tall ass 6'5" man. You know what I mean? Like run around, like just run around the streets, like playing cops and robbers and shit with guns. Like, you know what I mean? And cowboy, like thinking I'm a cowboy in a John Wayne movie. Like it's not realistic. Like, you know what I mean? Like how we lived our life, the things that we did, it's not realistic. So people have to like realize, like you know what I mean? You have to change. You have to change. You feel me? It's just like me and Will, like, you know, like we drove around, like, you feel me? Things aren't even the same, like where we from, like the area or the people or the spots, everything. It's not even the same. Like it's always love. You know what I mean? Like my heart is always there. I always have love, but it's a different type of love. You know what I mean? It's not the same type of love because the love that I had before was angry love. Like, you know what I mean? Was negative love. You know what I mean? But now it's like it's all about positivity love and helping individuals grow and seeing people that I've seen and grew up with and trying to get them on the right path and the right direction in their life, not preaching to them, not telling them what they should do, but allowing them to see me like, okay, look, if I can do it, you can do it. You know what I mean? Or if I can get my stuff straight, you can get your stuff straight. You know what I mean? And that's what it's all about.
How do you feel about having that, 17-year-old reputation?
I mean, it doesn't really bother me because like I always explained to Will when he met me in prison, no one lives up to reputations. Reputations go and fade away. You know what I mean? Think about it like this, as like a boxer think about boxer at the end of his career. He's going to take ass whippings he never would have took in his prime. You know what I mean? He's going to go through struggles and things that he never going to have in the beginning in his prime. You know what I mean? And that's how life is. Like we'll outgrow our reputations. That's why you can't feed into reputations and keep up a reputation because a reputation is a reputation. And it means what once was. It doesn't mean the actual present. It means what once was. You know what I mean? So you have to take that into consideration that a lot of people will change. A lot of people will be different than like for instance, like when you meet Floyd Mayweather or something, you see how short he is. And then you start laughing to yourself like this guy that's like 50 and 0, like, you know what I mean? This guy like 4'7" or some shit. You know what I'm saying? 100 pounds with like 3 towels on, you know? But it's like you still thinking about, you watching his fights and you seeing everything live and you're like, oh, this guy, man, this guy right here, he's raw. Or this guy, like, he always wins, or you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's like the people never match the stories. You know what I mean? Because a story is like anything else in life. By the time it gets to you, it's been retold and redirected and put sauce on it and mixed
Facts.
up about 1,000,000 times. You know what I mean? Than the actual story. You feel me? But I say all that to say this, it's like it's not about a reputation. It's about the person that's in front of you. It's about the person who you see right now. Like, you know what I mean? Because you can hear about me a lot, but you can only judge me off of who I am in front of you today. You know what I mean?
That's a good word. I mean, people do that all the time. Like, I may have never met Will, but they're telling me about Will, and I'm like, I got to judge that for myself, right? Or someone who has something against Will is trying to tell me something bad about Will, but it's like, people change too.
Right.
To expect you to be the person you were 15 years ago, or someone got burned by another person 15 years, I think I made a cold plunge thoughts about this, where I was like, if I haven't even talked to someone for 2 years, I don't even consider that I know them anymore.
Right.
Because someone could change so drastically in 1 to 2 years that whatever you once thought you knew about them, if you haven't talked to them, you don't know them. So how are you going to pass that judgment on them?
Right.
So how long have you been home right now? About 3 weeks? How long has it
I got
been?
out on the 2nd, I believe. So, yeah.
The second. First Christmas. Let me ask you this. What was the most difficult thing that you've experienced since you came home?
Man, that you can't do nothing without an ID.
Man.
You know what I mean? You can't do nothing without an ID. like I can't even go buy a beer. Like they want an ID at 7-Eleven. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like you can't do nothing.
You still got a young face though. That's why.
I don't look that young. You know what I mean? But it's like
you're 6'5".
Yeah. But you can't do nothing without an ID. But nah, like I don't know. Like I think that's really it. And I think really like I'm still dealing with that. People don't understand. Like, and will tell you, you're never truly free until you're off of probation or parole or whatever. You know what I mean? Because I'm still dealing with someone telling me that they can send me back to prison. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm still dealing with someone that's trying to make it hard for me. Like I'm on 2 probations, so I had to go get 1 probation terminated today. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm still and like the DA didn't want to even terminate my probation because she felt that I should have been on probation for 2 years, and the adult probation is only really mandatory for 1 year. You know what I mean? So it's like it's always like an uphill battle until you're just free. You know what I mean? But like I say, I'm not going to feel free until I'm off of probation, until I know that if I don't do something the way someone wants me to do it, that they can't just put me back in jail. You know what I mean?
So let me ask you this. What's next for Rico Flowers?
College, man. I think that really I don't think like people don't put the right emphasis on education. Even though it's not as big as it once was in life, you still need an education in this world. You know what I mean? You still need an education in this world because most positions and stuff, you can't have trades and like certain individual things, but for a business mind, for people at a bank to really look at you and give you a loan and do a background check, to do certain things, they want to see that they're dealing with an intelligent individual. They want to see that they're dealing with someone that has kind of like a history about their self. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think that's what the most important thing is to have a steady bank account and have an education really. Like honestly, you know what I mean? Just have some type of stability for a certain amount of time. That's just my only focus. I'm not really focused on nothing too big or, you know what I mean?
Taking a day at a time. That's the best way to succeed. One day at a time. You've been gone 18 years. You've been home 3 weeks.
Right.
It's going to take a little time to get back to to get back to normal, but I know you'll get there. You know, I know you'll get there. And man, it's been a pleasure. It's been an extreme pleasure. And we're going to definitely have to have a round 2 because it's only been 3 weeks. I can't wait to see where you at in 6 months.
Appreciate it, bro.
All right. So I'm Will.
And I'm Steven.
And this is the Post P Chronicles.